This is the story of one of Europe's greatest art treasures, the legendary Amber Room. An entire room carved from amber, the gold of the Baltic. Spectacular, priceless, and missing without a trace for more than 80 years. The Amber Room and its fate is one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. For more than 200 years, its home was here at St. Catherine's Palace at the gates of St. Petersburg, later Leningrad. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, triggering World War II. In 1941, German troops advanced east towards Leningrad. They murdered and plundered and sent the Amber Room on its last great journey. Fortune seekers are still searching for the treasure to this day.
Presumably someone has already given the decisive lead. One of the clues is the right one, but which one?
In 1716, Prussian King William Frederick I gave the Amber Room to Russian Tsar Peter the Great in exchange for some rather impressive soldiers. The eighth wonder of the world, a chamber unlike any seen before, covered with amber and gold that glowed like the sun. Its value today is estimated at 200 million euros. For 225 years, the Amber Room was at the Catherine Palace in Pushkin, a suburb of what's now again called St. Petersburg. Until 1941, when the Nazis advanced into the Soviet Union in a merciless war of extermination. Soviet troops were unable to save the legendary treasure from the German army.
Of course, the Germans found it very quickly and did what they called securing, which is nothing other than looting.
The army's art theft had various clients in the Nazi state. Adolf Hitler wanted art for his Führer Museum in Linz, and his deputy Hermann Göring also collected art. So various organisations of the Nazi state went on a looting spree in German-occupied territories, such as the Soviet Union.
What happened with the Amber Room is not unique, not unusual, but part of a large-scale, massive looting program carried out by the Germans in the Soviet Union and in all the territories they occupied in Europe.
The Wehrmacht soldiers dismantled the Amber Room in 1941, packed it up in crates and sent it westward to Königsberg, now called Kaliningrad.
Königsberg was a good destination for looted art, for objects from Eastern Europe, because it was basically not within range of the Allied bomber fleet. East Prussia was generally considered a safe region.
In the winter of 1941, the Amber Room was proudly displayed in Königsberg Castle. But not for long. The city came under attack from British forces, and the castle suffered extensive damage. The Red Army was advancing too. And on June 6, 1944, US troops landed in Normandy.
1944 was the year when the war was finally lost for the German Reich. Art treasures from the museums were stored and mothballed everywhere. Some were taken to tunnels, bunkers and cellars to protect them from possible destruction.
Did this happen in Königsberg? In March 1944, there are some indications that the Amber Room was again dismantled and packed into crates. But then what?
Since that moment in March 1944, we've heard numerous witness statements from people who say they saw these crates. But whether it was actually the Amber Room in those crates is not known for certain.
The trail of the art treasure soon gets lost in the chaos of war. A chaos that worsened as tens of thousands of Germans fled East Prussia from the advancing Red Army. The land route westwards was blocked, so hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians were to be evacuated by sea. One of the vessels used for the evacuation was the former cruise ship, the Wilhelm Gustloff. For several years during the Nazi regime, it had provided recreation and amusement for German vacationers. On January the 30th, 1945 at 1:10 p.m, the ship set sail with thousands of refugees on board. It became one of the largest ship disasters in history when Soviet submarines torpedoed and sank the Wilhelm Gustloff. More than 9,000 lives were lost.
To what extent could there be evidence that there were also important art treasures on board the Gustloff? Well,
was the Amber Room also on board the Gustloff? Or had it been packed up earlier and sent to the German Reich to be hidden?
There was a whole series of mining tunnels in the German Reich in which large numbers of art treasures were stored. A great number of art treasures were brought in, some of which were then also found there by Allied troops. Think of the famous Monuments Men, for example.
I don't understand. Siegen?
Ah. There's a copper mine in Siegen.
The Monuments Men were art experts recruited by the United States to find artworks looted by the Nazis.
Of over 5 million pieces of stolen artwork.
The Allies went searching and found incredible quantities of art looted by the Nazis. But the Amber Room was not among them. Not in any tunnel, not in any cellar.
The fact that the Amber Room was not found in these mine tunnels, in the known ones, is, in my view, an indication that it never left Königsberg in East Prussia.
So was the Amber Room really still in Königsberg at the end of the war? In April 1945, the city was in flames. Did the amber treasure burn in the process, lost forever? That's one of many possibilities in this intriguing case, a mystery of the 20th century. Or is the Amber Room perhaps lying at the bottom of the Baltic Sea? Is it in the catacombs of Königsberg Castle? Why has no one ever found the Amber Room?
It is probable that someone has already given us the decisive clue. There is possibly already a good lead. That might be true among all the clues we hear about. But which one? That's the big, crucial question.
So where is it? This man might have known. Erich Koch, the feared Gauleiter of the Nazis in East Prussia. He probably gave the order on what was to happen with the Amber Room. He later used that knowledge to save his life.
His very life depended on his trying to keep the authorities interested in the Amber Room and his knowledge of it, because Koch, who was initially able to go into hiding, was discovered in 1949, caught, transferred to Poland, tried and sentenced to death. He then basically spent the rest of his life repeatedly providing clues, repeatedly trying to lay trails in order to make himself important and in order to save himself.
But he took that knowledge to the grave. The legend of the Amber Room has become larger than life. Treasure hunters and scientists have searched for the Amber Room for decades, throughout Europe, in the Federal Republic of Germany and in communist East Germany. Private individuals, government agencies and above all secret services, such as the East German State Security, the Stasi.
The history of the Amber Room is also the history of the Cold War. We see it was of interest not only to the Soviet officials or to some failed treasure hunters or adventurers or conspiracy theorists, but also to the East German Stasi. They carried out major investigations, compiled dossiers and assigned officers who were interested in following all possible leads in order to find the Amber Room.
But the result was always the same. The Amber Room remained lost, its secret unrevealed. But a feature film imagined something different.
Wenn ihr der Kette der Hinweise folgt, werdet ihr es finden. Viel Glück!
Das Zimmer hat ein Geheimnis?
Da ist irgendwas, ich muss wieder ran! Ich hab's!
Dafür würden manche Menschen sicherlich Millionen zahlen. Oder töten.
Los, rennt!
But back in the real world, where there's been an almost conciliatory ending. Since 2003, the Catherine Palace has had a new Amber Room. After years of reconstruction, financed in part by Germany, the chamber is once again in the place it was stolen from.
The legend of the lost Amber Room distracts from what it actually represents, namely looted art, unlawful misappropriation, a massive crime that has been pushed into the background.
The legend and mystery of the Amber Room lives on. A treasure that embodies a turbulent period in European history.